So before we talk about any other subject, man, I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was kind of interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real quick. Whack 100 addresses 6ix9ine going broke. Says he sent him $20 for gas. This was put out March 14, 2022.
That's like a $20. That's a teaspoon of gas, bro. Like
saying 6ix9ine is broke. Yeah, he broke as an MF, bro. Like, okay, so check this out. I did receive large advances under the recording artist and merchandising agreements prior to my arrest. However, I do not receive any royalties under those agreements either, since my royalty accounts remain unrecouped. It's not just a matter of like, yo, he was reckless with the spending, but like there's legal implications there. But I wanted to talk about two things, and that's number one, this notion that like the clout chasing rappers, that's what kind of a younger generation, probably younger than us, aspired to be like, and what that's led to, right? Like, what are your thoughts on all these like clout chasing 5-minute microwave rappers?
It's like, it's so fake, man. It's I was actually, it's funny that you talk about Whack 100 because I was just listening to the Drink Champs episode with The Game.
Okay.
And he was on it. Like Whack 100 was on there, and he was talking a lot of stuff.
No way.
And one of the things The Game said in that, he was like, man, I really feel like I messed up a lot of opportunities early on in my career in hip hop, because I came into hip hop thinking like, this is real. So like when somebody disses me, I hop on a track, but like if I see him in the streets, like it's on sight. Kind of like, you know, that like the mentality that we grow up with, seeing people portrayed in you know, in media or movies and TV shows, and identifying with that, with like that's who they actually are. When it's not like it's just not true, man. It's like, it's marketing, it's a gimmick, it's just a ploy to get people to sell records or to fill seats in arenas. So at this point, I mean, because you and I are obviously a little bit older, like I'm just not surprised anymore when like these rappers who like were wearing chains and riding Bugattis and stuff like that, when they come out and say like, nah, I'm broke, like I don't got no money, because it's just it's smoke and mirrors. Even
with like MC Hammer filing for bankruptcy, and you know, I mean, definitely like even just the whole MTV Cribs era where artists would claim after the fact that no, like that wasn't actually my crib. You know what I mean? And like it was it was really just a marketing gimmick, and that's what it comes down to. It's like Tekashi 6ix9ine was a marketing gimmick. Like he embodied what a marketing gimmick was, and like you mentioned, man, like the lines get blurred between what's real and what's fake. For me, you know, growing up in the United States after coming from Colombia, I thought that was my ticket to like financial freedom was I make a couple records, I get on a record label, like my family's set for life. But it's backwards, because two things that he addresses there on this article, Tekashi was like, I got a couple advances, let's talk about that, right? And number two, I can't get my recoupments. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be in 6ix9ine's shoes right now, especially when it comes to royalties and recoupments. Having that many streams and not being able to get even a dime or a penny off of your royalties just sounds horrendous. Luckily, if you are an artist that uses DistroKid, you can actually set up your royalty splitting system called Splits, automate splits for you. So if you've worked with someone in the past and they've collaborated with you, if they have DistroKid, they can automatically disperse your royalties straight to you without them having to manually track or for you to wait on them to do that. In addition, you can set up recoupments so that a person or various people can recoup a portion of the royalties first before the split system kicks into effect. I know I'm getting a little technical here. The most important thing is knowing that you're going to get paid automatically as soon as royalties hit into your DistroKid account, and then they can get dispersed depending on whether or not you're a collaborator or somebody who contributed to a project. That automation can be set up simply through the splits feature and recoupments, all available using your DistroKid account. If you're not already a part of the DistroKid community, I highly encourage you to use them as your distributor of choice. Go ahead and sign up distrokid.com/VIP/Nico Santana for 7% off yearly plans starting at $19.99 a year, and the splits feature is available and included in your membership plan. And thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring content like this. Let's get back into it. Because of legal troubles as well, but like the advancements part, like people don't know that like you're taking on a high interest loan, probably higher than you would at a bank.
That's all an advance is. It's a loan.
And it's funny because even like somebody like Russ says, like he'll take now that he's in a position to do so, he'll take a loan in order to be able to produce his music, not because he doesn't have the money, it's he doesn't want to play with his money. Let's say like that's a low interest loan of like 5%, and he can recoup 100% of that money back and then make 20% profit. Like that's what savvy business people do, is like they'll borrow someone else's money, whether it's the bank, whether it's an investor, whatever, take 100% of that money, invest it in a business vehicle that will generate them a higher rate of return, pay off the loan, keep the remaining balance, right? So now you're not toying with your money, or maybe you don't have the money, right? You're just kind of leveraging funds. What was happening here with a lot of these artists was they would take their advance money and they would blow it all on jewelry, chains, cars, all things that depreciate, because even the jewelry, and there's like I think it's like on Hip Hop VX or like another one of these like hip hop documentary sites. They're like, yo, the biggest con men in hip hop industry are jewelers. Because they'll mark up these pieces like excruciatingly high. They'll like put a chokehold on these rappers. They'll here have this, but like they'll still make them pay for it. And they know that like something that's been tinkered with, like let's say a Rolex that's like iced out, that depreciates because it's no longer what it was before. I mean, it's like pimping out maybe you could pimp out a Rolls Royce or something like that, but like, you know, there's certain things that you don't do with certain items because it's gonna depreciate. So, anyways, man, I don't know. I'm rambling here. What are your thoughts on like this whole situation?
But like again, like they're like, all right, let's say like labels, they're not really out to like sign the 32-year-old who like just broke out on the scene. He's probably a lot smarter than, you know, the 19-year-old who like just went viral on TikTok. Where the expectation is for these rappers, I would say specifically rappers, it's probably like if Adele were to like start all over again, she'd probably fall into the same category of like, look, I got to maintain my lifestyle. I got to maintain my image. I can't be out here looking ratchet and like I can't wear the same shirt. I can't be pictured wearing the same shoes. So like I got to be up to date on stuff. And so that's like the trap that people fall into. I also think it's kind of like a American perception. Like I think the height of social media is also catering into that, of making people think that like you have to appear a certain way in order to be perceived as successful or for people to respect you. But yeah, that's just like not a surprise. And it's a shame that so many people end up in these bad deals where like they don't realize that like, wait, I gotta pay that money back. Like, no, I thought that was just for me. I thought like I was free to spend it however they want. Because obviously labels aren't really going to disclose, or at least make that very clear, of like what an advance is.
You said it, man. I mean, ultimately, like they'll sign 100 artists to a roster. One of them is bound to make them profitable. So for them, like the advance 20, 30K, whatever it is. And obviously, depending on the type of contract that you sign, you'll end up paying for the rest of your life or filing for bankruptcy or what have you. But you touched on something that was really important, and that was, you know, kind of the American perception of a concept that I've heard been called lifestyle inflation. And this is not just like I like that music specific thing. This is like just in general. Like, so if you're working in corporate America or any other type of role and you get, let's say, a 10% raise. Well, most people, unfortunately, in the United States, unless you're like a hardcore Dave Ramsey fan, would probably take that 10% and say, I'm going to take out a loan for a new car. And so, like, let's say it's an extra $500 a month that you're getting. I'm going to take out a loan for a car, put 20% down, 10% down, whatever it is. And the car is like $600 a month. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So now what you did, is you took the $500, poof, it's gone. And now you have a deficit of $100. And you end up, again, pursuing this, well, now I got to get another promotion. And maybe you're unhappy at your job. Maybe you're unhappy in your situation. And it's like it just continues to pile up and pile up and pile up. Or you get into more debt and more debt and more debt. And you have to take on these jobs that you don't want to. You're unhappy. You're unsatisfied. And even you're underperforming at your, like, within your employer, and it's like now you're cheating them because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I think it's the same thing with the music industry, except with the music industry, because it is so much flashier, and like you said, there's like this perception of like having to look like you're wealthy right off the bat. Like, yo, you get stuck. And within like hip hop, again, I'm rambling here, but like you're targeting a lot of these like minority, impoverished communities, disenfranchised, telling them like, yo, this is, again, much like my own experience, this is the ticket to financial freedom that you want. And this is the type of life that you'll be living for the rest of your life, when literally within the span of what, like a year and a half, 2 years, Tekashi like has to borrow $20 for gas.
Dude, you're better off buying a bicycle.
So this was a small fraction of an hour-long conversation that I had with Mr. Cruz, and similar conversations have taken place on my podcast. Some of you guys may be aware that I recently had to rebrand the podcast, and it is now called the Musicpreneur Podcast. And it's ever so fitting, as Mr. Cruz has gone on to pursue music full-time as of this year. So he is kind of just explaining his journey and giving his insights as a full-time music creator and producer. I've also spoken to several other producers, artists, rappers who have come onto the podcast and are either in the process of trying to make their music business a full-time thing, or even if it's just a supplement as a part-time income, they give their insight into how they're doing that. So make sure to check out the Musicpreneur Podcast. It's on YouTube and wherever podcasts are streamed or listened to. Much love. I appreciate all the support I've been getting on this channel and the Musicpreneur Podcast channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I talk about everything from music, business, fashion at times. I know I don't look like, I'm trending right now, but hey, and then, my family and whatnot. So I'm just an independent artist trying to make a living and a business out of his creativity, and that also includes music. So much love, guys. Thanks for watching, and hasta la próxima. Peace.